The Indianapolis Colts just surprised everyone with a move no one expected. After testing and evaluating 3 different kickers, the franchise made a decision that's taking everyone by surprise. Michael Badgley is back on the team, taking over as the starting kicker and completely changing the roster. The news was confirmed by NFL insider Tom Pelissero and quickly spread among fans, especially since this decision comes shortly after the team cleared the space between Dustin Hopkins and Matt Amendola, who are now on the back burner. But what's behind this choice? Why has Badgley's name been gaining traction again right now? And what could this change mean for the Colts' immediate future? Before diving into the details of this update that's stirring up the league, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and activate the bell, because this story will be a hot topic. This news caught everyone off guard, but if we look at Michael Badgley's track record, it starts to make a little more sense. The 30-year-old kicker has a long history with the Indianapolis franchise. He began his professional career with the Colts back in 2018 when he was signed as an undrafted free agent from the University of Miami. At that point, it seemed the team had found a promising prospect, but before the season even started, Badgley was released. From then on, the player's career began a roller coaster ride, with stints with several teams and moments of ups and downs that transformed him into a well-known name, but also marked by instability. Shortly after leaving the Colts, Badgley joined the Chargers in October 2018, and it was there that he enjoyed his best run to date. For 3 consecutive seasons, he was the Los Angeles team's starting kicker, earning trust, prominence, and even the nickname Money Badger for his composure in decisive situations. The Chargers even made a qualifying offer, securing him for another year on a $1.1 million contract. However, his stability didn't last long. Injuries, fluctuations, and the arrival of new talent eventually took away his place, and from then on, he joined a seemingly endless string of teams. After the Chargers, Badgley played for the Titans, returned to the Colts, had a brief stint with the Bears, and most recently played for the Detroit Lions, where he also enjoyed significant moments. The Detroit team believed he could be a temporary solution at the position and re-signed him to a 1-year contract through the 2023 season. However, in July, before the start of the preseason, the kicker was released again, and shortly thereafter, the Commanders decided to give him a chance. But once again, Badgley failed to establish himself and was cut before playing any official matches. The back and forth seemed endless, until fate decided to play a curious trick. After being released in Washington, Badgley returned to the Titans, the team he had previously played for. However, the same story repeated itself. He didn't stay long. Shortly thereafter, the player returned to the Lions, was promoted from the practice squad, and re-signed a 1-year contract with the team. This turnaround gave him another chance to prove himself, and he didn't completely disappoint. In 2023, he appeared in 4 games for the Lions, making all 4 of his field goal attempts and converting 13 of his 15 extra points. It wasn't a large sample size, but it showed that despite the constant changes, Badgley still has enough stamina and accuracy to be reliable in key moments. More recently, the kicker returned to the spotlight in March 2025 when he worked out with the New York Jets during the tryout period. Many believed he would be signed as part of the preseason roster, but ultimately the deal fell through. It was one of those situations where a player comes very close but the fit doesn't happen, something that unfortunately has been a recurring theme in Badgley's career. And that's precisely why this return to the Colts is generating so much curiosity and anticipation. Badgley's return to Indianapolis seems like an attempt by the team to bank on familiarity and experience. The Colts recently tested 3 kicker options, Dustin Hopkins, Matt Amendola, and Badgley himself, but ultimately decided to trust the one who has already demonstrated consistency and maturity in the league. The idea is to bring stability to a position that has been a problem for the team since the departure of Adam Vinatieri, a true legend. Badgley, who already knows the environment and has a history with the coaching staff, could be exactly the type of player who will bring security and confidence in decisive moments. However, what's striking about this story is the timing. This decision comes just as the Colts are trying to adjust their roster for a crucial stretch of games this season. It's a move that shows the franchise doesn't want to take unnecessary risks, especially in games that could be decided by a single kick from a few yards. And anyone who follows the NFL knows, a reliable kicker can be the difference between a team making the playoffs or seeing their season fall apart at the last second. The fact is that Michael Badgley now has another opportunity, perhaps the most important of his career, to prove that he can still be a relevant name in the league. The Colts are banking on his accuracy and experience, and he's undoubtedly determined to show he still belongs among the elite of NFL kickers. The Money Badger's return to Indianapolis is more than just a signing. It's a chance for redemption, a new chapter in a career that refuses to be forgotten. And you, fans, what do you think of this Colts decision? Is Badgley really the right fit to solve the position's problems, or should the team have opted for a younger kicker with long-term potential? Comment below, like this update if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel, because this story will be a hot topic.
The Detroit Lions have just become the epicenter of news no one expected. A trade proposal is circulating behind the scenes in the NFL that could completely change the team's defense. According to sources close to the league, the Lions are strongly linked to a move that would bring in an experienced veteran valued at over $26 million to replace young cornerback Terrion Arnold, who suffered a serious shoulder injury. This information has exploded among fans and analysts, and the atmosphere in Detroit is one of pure tension, because this negotiation could define the course of the season. And before revealing all the details and the name being considered, I'll remind you to leave a like, as it's very important to us, and thus continue this work of updating fans. Now, what comes next could completely change the Lions' defense. Coach Dan Campbell confirmed the worst during Monday's press conference. Terrion Arnold, a cornerstone of the secondary, is out indefinitely, and there's a real chance he won't play again in 2025. The coach was blunt. Unfortunately, he's going to be out for a while. The statement hit the locker room like a bombshell and set off alarm bells in the front office. Without Arnold, the defense loses not only a young talent, but a player who had been groomed to be the anchor of the future. And now, with a series of other injuries already affecting the team's cornerbacks, Detroit finds itself in a critical situation. It's in this context that the possibility of a trade for Rasul Douglas of the Miami Dolphins, a veteran with a solid resume and a winning track record in the NFL, has emerged. The rumor was started by Mike Payton of A to Z Sports, who proposed a simple but strategic trade, a 2026 sixth-round pick in exchange for Douglas. The reasoning is straightforward. The Dolphins are 1 or 2 losses away from entering rebuilding mode, and the experienced cornerback is unlikely to want to join a roster in decline. What's more, Douglas would have the opportunity to return to the NFC North, where he played for years with the Green Bay Packers, and even face his former team. It's the kind of motivation that can completely transform a veteran player's intensity level. Douglas, a Super Bowl champion in 2017 with the Philadelphia Eagles, brings with him not only experience, but also a winning mentality, something Dan Campbell highly values in the locker room. At 30, Rasul Douglas has already played for some of the biggest teams: the Eagles, Panthers, Packers, Bills, and now the Dolphins. Over 9 years in the league, he has accumulated $26.8 million in earnings and a solid reputation as a reliable defender, capable of leading the secondary both on and off the field. He's still under contract until the end of 2025, making the trade extremely attractive for the Lions, especially if the trade is finalized for a mere 6th-rounder. This type of move demonstrates the maturity of the franchise and understanding the current situation. This isn't a time to rebuild. It's time to protect the competition window. With Jared Goff playing at a high level, Aiden Hutchinson a standout defensive player, and the team contending at the top of the NFC, Detroit can't afford to leave a gaping hole in the secondary. And here's the most interesting point. Douglas isn't a bet for the future. He's an immediate answer for the present. The Lions already have their long-term plan in place with Arnold and Rakestraw, but both are out, and the team needs someone capable of holding down the fort now. This season, Douglas started 3 of the Miami Dolphins' 5 games, recording 19 combined tackles and 4 pass defenses. He has 83 career starts and is coming off a solid season with the Bills, where he made 58. His numbers show he still has plenty of juice left in the tank and could be exactly what the Lions need to avoid a sharp drop in defensive performance. The big question is, will Terrion Arnold return in 2025? Dan Campbell made it clear that the possibility exists, but it's remote. The severity of his shoulder injury is a concern, and the team is already beginning to prepare long-term alternatives. Rasul Douglas in this scenario would be the perfect bridge. He could arrive now, take over the starting job immediately, and if Arnold can fully recover, he could even serve as a luxury backup next year. The veteran has played in both starting and rotating systems. With the Dolphins, he played 90% of the defensive snaps, but also came off the bench in games, demonstrating his versatility. Currently, the Lions rely on names like Amik Robertson, Rock Ya-Sin, and Avonte Maddox to hold down the position, but they all face limitations. Robertson, for example, only started 4 games last season, but surprised on Sunday with 6 tackles, a pass defense, and an interception. Ya-Sin and Maddox, newcomers, are still trying to adjust, and the injury scenario is fraught. In addition to Arnold and Rakestraw, DJ Reed and Khalil Dorsey are also out. In other words, the defense is literally patched together, which is why Douglas fits perfectly. The reality is clear. The Detroit Lions are in emergency mode. The team knows it can't afford to let the chance to compete for the NFC top spot slip away due to injuries. The front office understands that this is the time to act, and act fast. Rasul Douglas may not be a long-term solution, but he's exactly the kind of player that can stabilize the defense, provide leadership, and keep the team alive in the toughest battles of the season. If this trade does happen, it will be a bold and smart move, and a clear sign that Detroit doesn't intend to take a step back. The team Dan Campbell built has identity, grit, and above all, ambition. And if there's one thing that's become clear in the last few hours, is that the Lions are ready to do whatever it takes to keep winning. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, fans.